We've only changed a couple of slides in the presentation. I'll try and point those out and skip past the others fairly quickly. We did have a great meeting on December 6th. Met with Jack Johnson and company and Todd, and it was a great meeting. They had suggested that urbanized cross-section to try and provide that additional flexibility. That seemed very appropriate, and just as you've seen, we've modified those cross-sections to come in and look at the range of some of the widths that we have. So with the swells and other things, to try and provide that maximum flexibility to move that cross-section around as needed. That being said, again, you've seen the vicinity map, you know the area, you know the JSPA study, the trip generation that we've spoken about. Again, I've spoken about it before, but we looked at peak conditions, so peak summer, peak winter, combined them into one analysis at the request of the county. We've since broken them apart. We are now looking at two different peak conditions. So these are the peak winter assumptions, just to be clear and to try and drive that clarity home on the residential components of those. The internal capture trip generation methodology that was utilized, you've seen that before, the trip generation from ITE, as well as some additional information that was collected here locally to try and look at some of the trips that were accounted for. On the Jordanelle Parkway Boulevard, this is the winter peak. Again, looking at the peak of the residential components, we're still above that 5-lane cross-section by the time we get clear out to year 2040. Again, we're not recommending we build that 5-lane cross-section right off the bat, but it would be something that you would grow into. And if you never grow into it, you would never have to build it. We want to make sure we're not scarring up the hillside for something that is not really necessary. Deer Hollow Road, I do want to point this out. This is State Highway 319. There was some concern in our meeting with the applicant about some of the peaks and what peaks we were using. I just want to add a little bit of clarity both for the commission and for the group as well. We did receive an email from the director of the parks, and she indicated that they had 5,500 cars, I think it was 5,520 actually, but 5,520 entered the site on July 4th. So that's just entering vehicles. When you look at how many are exiting, those people don't stay overnight. That was independent of the cabins and the campsite was the 5,520. So if you double that, everybody who went in comes out, you have about 11,000 cars a day already on that segment. Now this is a segment that is owned and controlled by UDOT. It is State Highway 319. They would not require the applicant to widen that road, but they would themselves come in and widen that road at the appropriate time, unless there was some tipping point in that balance where it needed to be widened. More than likely, the DOT would require additional pockets and lanes, meaning if you were headed eastbound towards the Jordanelle Park and you were turning in, they will look at the trip count, how many vehicles are making that right turn movement, and they'll require a right turn pocket and possibly a right turn deceleration lane. That being said, the Deer Hollow State Road is a concern. We want to make sure that is adequate for the traffic that's going in and out. Those queues do back up quite a ways from the park and from the gates going backwards.
Are they becoming boats when they're talking about July 4th?
That was just a number of vehicles that were entering. There was no designation on the split of how many were boats and just vehicles.
Okay.
So there is a peak winter condition. Obviously, the winter condition is down towards that 3-lane option. It's quite a bit lower. Again, that includes some additional traffic from the developments themselves that are on 319. When you look at that peak summer, though, we do cross that 5-lane threshold. That 5,500 is, again, entering vehicles, double that for the exiting, plus the traffic from the developments. It does push it above that. Again, UDOT will not widen that road until it becomes absolutely necessary. So the onus to widen that road will likely not be placed upon the development. It will just be something they will build as necessary.
But that road will remain at 160-foot right away, right?
Correct. Yeah, so the right-of-way will not change. They have the room to come in and build that 5 lanes whenever they need to. They probably won't rebuild it until they absolutely have to, though. Really, because it's the entry into the state park. There's a lot of cars that queue up there, and we just want to make sure that those cars are accommodated and vehicles can still circulate through that area.
Does the state designation show any type of a trail system that integrates into that?
Not that we could find. So again, that's the peak summer months. The rest of the slides are somewhat, you've already seen them before. The northwest frontage road does not change for that peak winter condition. It's kind of what we've discussed in the past. That southwest frontage road for that peak winter condition would remain the same.
Brian, sorry, we're talking about the level of service C, right?
Correct.
As being a potential trigger point to upgrading the road?
That is correct. When it crosses that 2-lane threshold at C, then we move into the 3-lane section, and likewise into the 5.
So it looks like on the, if you go back go back to that one, it doesn't look like that ever hits level service C, does it? On Northwest Frontage Road?
On that northwest frontage road, no. The 3 lanes would be for convenience, where you're widening in and out, maybe hourglassing again, and allowing for left turn pockets. Commissioners, I believe I'll just skim through these slides. Again, the winter peak on that southwest frontage road. We had shown the Deer Cove project in the past. This is the Deer Cove project again. I do want to stop and talk about the portals for just a minute. We did not classify the portals. We recognized the south portal, and I'm just going to talk about directions. I apologize, I don't have the map in front of me, but in the westbound direction, if you are on the road that goes underneath US 40 and is that south portal, you would have 1 lane per direction, and then as you approach that west frontage road, you would need a left turn pocket. So you want to separate out the right and the left turning vehicles. So we would build that right turn pocket, or excuse me, that left turn pocket, which would be 3 lanes underneath that structure probably, to make sure we have adequate clearance to get enough left turning vehicles in there and the queuing, the taper links and all of that. Outside of the lane count, we haven't really tried to put a cross section to it because we want to provide some flexibility to those who are designing these. The development teams may come in and they may want to do, you've seen at some of the ski resorts, they have basically I don't know what they call them, where you can stand on it's like the moving walkway, I guess. You stand on with your skis and it will transmit you from one side to the other. There may be a desire to put that underneath one of the portals or both, well, underneath the north portal. There may be a desire just to put in a standard walkway. We just want to provide maximum flexibility. So the lane count is what we would be concerned with, making sure we have those 3 lanes.
On the north portal, what does that do? You need a left turn pocket on the east side?
On the east side. Potentially because of the proximity to that frontage road, they're so close. If you have to develop a turn pocket, it would push back underneath the structure.
If you look at the bridge span, that's going to work and still accommodate. I know that one had wildlife crossings and a huge pedestrian element associated with it. Is there enough room? That bridge is essentially approved by UDOT, correct?
I don't know the point at what that bridge has been approved or not approved.
My understanding is it's approved. And so are we suggesting that they would need to go back and create more bridge span in order to accommodate everything we're saying goes underneath that?
I don't think that's the intent on the north portal, where it's probably, if it has been adopted, we could probably work with that and just talk about what that means. Because if you recall, I think when the bridge was adopted anyway, the first time, it was a transit bridge, a transit portal. And now we're talking about a multi-use portal, which has never been considered before. So some of the considerations that we're now talking about have changed.
Make it bigger.
Might change the dimensions. I'm not trying to change dimensions here tonight. We can certainly go back and look at that with the developers and try and put our arms around it and understand what it would mean if they can't apply to that.
The importance is to try to connect those east and west sides via pedestrian or transit, and now we're introducing passenger vehicles. Yeah. And what is going to be the impact on the original intent?
Yeah. And that's a great point. And the point that we're flying right now, we're flying at about a 30,000 foot level, kind of looking out the window of the airplane. We do need to fly this at a lower level and start looking at what that means. What's the implications? And how does the trip generation affect that? How many turns do we have? Commissioners, any other questions on the portal? There are a few portal slides here, and then I won't bother to go through the interchange right now. You've seen this slide already with the color coding. Talking about the north portal. Discuss that. In the future, we're talking about the change in interchange format. The diamond interchange no longer works. because the frontage roads are pushed out so wide and so are the ramps. We need to separate that and try and bring the ramps back into the center and provide more distance and separation from those ramps back to the frontage road connections. The best way to do that is the school interchange. You've seen the site plan before, talked about the south portal, and then just moving into the cross sections. Again, commissioners, I won't spend much time on these 100-foot cross section. You can see the variability. We appreciate having that meeting with Jack Johnson and those that were involved talking about the alternative site treatment. I think it makes some great sense in the cross section. And then the collector cross section. Commissioners, any questions to that point?
Just my memory is probably failing from the last time I looked at this, but I guess I'll think about transit again. So when we look at the portals, both north and south, do we have space for transit type circulation, or is that for private vehicle circulation, for both?
You know, it's a great question. It would actually have to be for both because there are minimum clearances that you have to maintain. So the transit vehicles could be accommodated in those minimums. As far as height.
Well, when we were looking at this, it was always from a transit perspective and not a personal vehicle perspective. Vehicles were accessing both sides, maybe using the Mayflower interchange as opposed to portals. Maybe I just made that up, but that's what
I think you were right originally that was the case. I think what's happening is the traffic study that's showing where it doesn't work.
Yeah, we're introducing the passenger vehicles to try and make the system work a little bit better. Make it a little more convenient. It kind of goes to the long-range plan of what might be necessary. And I apologize, I've got it on the screen behind me now. But some of the questions were about a one-way frontage road system. We are actually meeting with UDOT. Is that tomorrow, Doug? Thursday. Meeting with UDOT on Thursday to begin the discussions on this concept. Let them kind of look at it. They wanted to look at it from a geometric perspective and see if they could do it. It was one of the concepts that they had brainstormed and brought up in one of the meetings that we held with them. So they're very interested in at least looking at it and seeing what they can do to try and prolong the life of the interchange. But connecting those portals that both the north and south and making them for vehicular traffic as well plays a key part of that. I think that's where the concept came from.
Sure. I mean, to me, it makes sense in the short term, but in the long term, I think we want primarily transit circulatory system.
But wouldn't that involve, I totally agree, wouldn't that involve having an understanding of what that transit system is?
Sure.
Like what's the method, what's the vehicle involved? It seems like on something like this, it would just be if it's a circulator, it'd just be a smaller bus, not even a full-size city bus or something like that. But if you're connecting down to Heber or Park City, or even Salt Lake for that matter, then it would be a full-on UTA type bus or a full city bus at that point.
And my consideration is not really size of the vehicle, more so traffic that would stem, the traffic buildup from the private use vehicles that then bog down the transit system.
Taking away the convenience of the transit system.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, understand. Transit ridership would need to be projected here to try and identify what that would be, so we would kind of know what types of vehicles we're talking about and how they would flow, whether it's mixed flow or whether it's independent.
This is the discussion you're having with UDOT, or part of the discussion you're having with UDOT.
They're really wanting to look at that frontage road system to see how the connectivity can work and to see if they can make the geometrics work. They are going to commission an outside engineering group. At this point, they've elected to go with Corox engineers. And so we're meeting with Corox and UDOT to kind of discuss the concept and have them start brainstorming a little bit. I don't know if that's official, don't tell anybody.
Maybe Orox doesn't know yet.
They're coming to the meeting on Thursday, I hope they don't. Okay, commissioners, thank you.
That point, is this a public hearing, or are we? Yes. No.
Public hearing. Can I just say a couple things really quick?
Sure.
The north portal was intended to be transit only originally. As we started talking more about it and looking at Ryan's traffic analysis, you're not only required to have a emergency access, but a secondary access as well. And without the parkway connecting to 248, that would be Deer Cove's secondary access. We look at secondary access differently than emergency because secondary is to disperse traffic and to provide a network of traffic, for traffic. So Deer Cove is intending to put the portal in, and if the parkway, if and when the parkway goes in, then I guess we could look at making that more transit or limiting it or whatever we need to do, but it's kind of integral right now to their secondary access requirement. And the other thing I wanted to mention is on the right-of-way.
Just ask a follow-up on that then. So would you propose making the portal wider so you could always have an extra lane for transit, which could go, one direction?
I don't know. I think what we need to do is, and Deer Cove's wanting to start meetings with UDOT and see if we're all on the same page. I don't know if there's room there, but until we figure that out, maybe we don't need to change the portal dimensions at all to accommodate another lane. But that'll all be talked about when we start sitting down with UDOT. The other thing I wanted to mention is Todd provided me a drawing that's to scale and engineered, right? And I should have thought of this, but when you start having cuts and fills that are intended to be maintained by the county, you could record a slope easement that obviously would go outside of the right-of-way width and would jog around those challenging, more steep areas. So we could do that and keep the right-of-way the same and just record a slope easement in favor of the county over those areas that have retaining walls or cuts and fills, that type of thing. So I don't know that we need to change those right-of-ways, is what I'm trying to say. Anything else?
Okay. Does these roads apply to everyone? It's not a certain applicant, so we'll open this up. Meeting up to anyone who wants to comment. Would you state your name?
Leroy Orr, representing Keystone Surveys. I just want to bring it to the attention of the council that earlier, Gordon Duvall, our attorney, appeared here and mentioned to you about our ownership of mining claims underneath the resort area. And we have submitted an opinion of our rights. We did that at the request of Doug, and he turned it to the county attorneys today. And I'd like to just maybe leave a copy of this with one of you here, a couple, and just make you aware that we do have mining claims underneath the resort area, and they're patented mining claims, and we have rights that haven't been resolved yet as far as the big picture, and just want to make you aware of that.
Are any of those underneath the road right away at this point, or?
Yes.
So they're under county property too?
Yes. Here's a picture here of the red outline. Goes right across. You see it goes right across through the right of way case. But I just mainly want to put you on notice that this issue hasn't been resolved about our rights, to our mining rights, and just put you on so that as time goes on, we need to resolve this issue. That's what I wanted to make you aware of. This is the opinion letter up here. I only have 3 of them. And there's a map on the back. There's a map on the back that shows our area of ownership.
This is mineral rights, not surface rights.
This is mineral rights, correct. But the law says that the mineral rights have dominance over the surface. But yet at the end, we want to cooperate and work with everybody, but we want to have our rights recognized and addressed the problem. Thank you.